Thank you for joining us for this look at the best original reporting from KPBS News this week. I'm Amitha Sharma. Coming up, California's pandemic pivot. Governor Newsom outlines a new approach to COVID-19 as mask mandates end and case rates drop. Keeping local parks safe for all, we ride along as the Humane Society reminds people that ignoring leash laws will cost them. And Hoover High School levels up. See their new investment in esports as video games become a valuable education tool. San Diego has always had some of the highest gas prices in the country, but it hasn't always been this bad. This week brought a new all-time record. And as John Carroll reports, prices might rise even higher.
It sucks. It definitely sucks.
Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I hate it, hate it, hate it. We're like going broke.
Forget pain at the pump. These prices make filling up more like sheer agony.
Yeah, man, it's ridiculous.
Here are the numbers. We're now paying an average of $4.74 a gallon in San Diego. Glass half full, at least we're not paying the highest average prices in the state. That dubious honor falls to San Luis Obispo, where the average price sits at a whopping $4.91 a gallon. Contrast that to the national average of $3.51 a gallon, which seems like a bargain to us. The price of gas has been climbing steadily here since the end of 2020.
California sits at #1 in the nation for the highest statewide average.
So why is that? The Auto Club's Doug Shoup says there are a number of reasons.
The aggression between Russia and Ukraine, which is putting upward pressure on the crude oil prices. We're seeing an increase in demand for fuel. And then also the more expensive summer blend fuel.
And we might not have seen the end of rising prices, especially if Russia goes ahead and invades Ukraine.
Some are saying that we could see pump prices increase another 50 to 75 cents per gallon.
Despite that, Shoup says AAA doesn't expect the higher prices to lead to any significant cutback in driving.
Because people still need to get to where they need to be, especially driving to work or driving to care for loved ones.
Shoup has some tips for saving gas. Make sure your tires are properly inflated. Lighten the load of your vehicle. Don't carry extra junk around. Avoid jackrabbit starts and don't speed. And shop around for the cheapest gas. AAA has a free mobile app that, among other things, shows you the cheapest prices in your area. And with prices like these, anything you can do to ease the agony at the pump is well worth it. John Carroll, KPBS News.
If you drive electric or ride with a friend, you have a new carpool lane to use on I-5. 9 additional miles open this week on northbound lanes between Solana Beach and Carlsbad. The new southbound lane will open in a couple of weeks. This project has been in the works since 2016. An additional stretch from Palomar Airport Road to the 78 freeway is in progress. Local leaders are looking for opportunities to build affordable housing near transit hubs. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen tells us about a plan to do just that in Grantville.
1, 2, 3. In about 20 months, this land will be turned into 126 affordable apartments for low-income families. Right next door, 250 more apartments are already under construction. The property is owned by the Metropolitan Transit System, which has been pushing for more development on its real estate, particularly on parking lots next to trolley stations.
And so this housing will be perfectly placed as people are trying to get to work, whether they're trying to get to school. At San Diego State, we know 35,000 students who are there, but families, again, that can benefit from this. And so as MTS, we identify the land, we work with incredible partners, and we are thrilled to bring this to fruition and get it going.
The appeal of housing next to the trolley is clear. More people riding transit means fewer cars on the road and less greenhouse gas emissions. But step off the trolley that overlooks the I-8 freeway and into the neighborhood of Grantville, and you'll see it's far from a pedestrian paradise. Mayor Todd Gloria says to meet the city's climate goals, that has to change.
Right now, folks only have a car to get around Grantville. And I think that we owe it to them to provide the pedestrian, bicycle, and mass transit opportunities that would further help enhance this community, make it a better place for everyone to live and work.
But as hostile as this neighborhood can be for pedestrians and cyclists, the city has plans to make it even more car-centric. A study produced last year calls for widening the streets surrounding the trolley station to accommodate more cars. Mayor Gloria says that's a status quo approach that has to be questioned. He hasn't said whether he'll intervene to stop those road widenings from happening. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
A couple of weeks ago, it was a cleanup. Now the city is issuing citations to those who refuse to leave encampments in the Midway District. Matt Hoffman updates us on a problem that's been troubling the community for years.
No, they did not give you permission to enter.
You have a search warrant?
You have a search warrant, you have an arrest warrant. You've broken the curtilage, you have a search warrant.
Do me a favor and step out so we can do our job.
There were some tense moments between San Diego police and homeless advocates Monday as the Midway encampment cleanup continues.
It's a bookable offense.
They are on federal property right now.
Federal property is on the other side of that pylon.
2 weeks ago, the city started cleaning this part of Sports Arena Boulevard. But people were not told to leave. That's changing, and local advocates don't agree.
But violating the Constitution is decidedly not your job.
We're starting to see some enforcement out here. Police have been going tent by tent, and so far we've already seen tickets for illegal lodging and encroachment.
I represent them. They have authorized me to speak on your behalf.
Attorney and homeless advocate Colleen Cusack was out trying to help some of her clients.
The police are using criminalization to drive people away.
She says the city is escalating enforcement to scatter unsheltered residents, making it harder for them to be found in next week's homeless point-in-time count. The data from that gives a regional view of the number of people living on the streets here.
And all so that, on February 24th, when they come around to do the point-in-time count and the mayor has chased everybody off the street, he's going to, pat himself on the back?
A spokesperson for San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria, who ordered the cleanup, says that allegation just isn't true.
This is just normal procedure, and the only change is that we paused shelter intakes during the Omicron surge because we had so many positives in our shelters. And now that we're done with that, we're of course opening our shelters again, and we're trying to encourage people via outreach and progressive enforcement. These federal dollars are really important, and how those federal dollars, one of the calculations for how much we get is the magnitude of our problem. So it is in our best interest to have an accurate count.
They do not want to be broken up and go to separate shelters.
Police were offering shelter, and at least 3 people decided to take the services, but some people remain resistant, saying they do not want to stay in a large shelter.
He cannot do congregate shelter because of his disabilities. COVID has made it very unsafe for people to stay in congregate care, and so a lot of people want single-room shelters to stay safe.
A city spokesperson said they have made significant efforts to get people into shelter, but they have ongoing concerns about health and safety. They say that enforcement will continue as long as there is space inside of shelters. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
California is shifting its approach to COVID-19, with masks no longer required in most settings. Governor Gavin Newsom explained why now is the time to try to get back to normal.
And so it's in, again, that spirit of optimism that we now move into a new phase of addressing the challenges and realities of this disease. We move out of the pandemic phase, and we move into a phase which should allow you confidence that we are not walking away, that we're taking the lessons learned and we're leaning into the future.
Recent trends support the move. Thursday, San Diego County reported around 1,300 new COVID-19 cases. That's roughly 1/10 of what we saw from daily case numbers during the recent Omicron peak. KPBS News will continue to provide coverage and resources for the pandemic. Go to the Tracking COVID-19 page under the news section. You'll find the latest numbers, details on testing, and coverage from all of our KPBS platforms. Lots of people adopted dogs during COVID, and while a new leash will cost you around $10, not using one can cost you hundreds. KPBS reporter Claire Tregeser tells us about a new program that aims to get pet owners to follow the rules.
Sierra Dockery spots him from the parking lot, a loose pit bull running around a fenced-in basketball court. She parks her SUV and hops out.
There's a couple signs that I see right now that mandate dogs have to be on a leash, so we'll go make that contact.
The dog's owner is not happy to see Dockery.
You know what? We've been doing it, and they always wave to her and say hi and good morning.
So,
no one's asked us to leave before.
Since I'm speaking with you, I'm going to go ahead and enter. If you can go ahead and leash the dog for my safety, I just want to make sure.
Dockery listens to the woman with a calm and gentle demeanor, but stays firm. She writes a ticket, which could end up costing her almost $300.
Good job. Good job. You're doing a great job. Helping families and friends.
Just another day at the office for Dockery, who looks a lot like a police officer in her tight bun, navy blue uniform, and utility belt. But her employer isn't a police department, it's the San Diego Humane Society. She's part of a new park patrol enforcement program the Humane Society started in 2021 to address a pandemic-era problem. The number of scofflaw dog owners ballooned during COVID.
Once they reopened, I feel like people kind of flooded back to the parks and beaches, and people had that love of outdoors once again.
The Humane Society is now giving out about 200 citations a month. That's a 5-fold increase from early in the pandemic. About a third went to parks in Pacific Beach and Ocean Beach, and Dockery says they pay special attention to school fields.
Some specific joint uses have become, let's say, like unofficial dog parks.
That creates problems with dogs digging holes or leaving poop that kids step in.
And then, of course, with off-leash dogs, there's always that risk of someone being attacked, a dog being attacked, someone being bit.
And all of a sudden, this dog, jumped on her.
That's exactly what happened to Belen Hernando's 3-year-old daughter, Alba, at Trolley Barn Park in University Heights.
We ended up in the hospital. She was traumatized.
Alba had to get stitches and now struggles with a deep fear of dogs. People insist their dog is friendly and well-behaved, but Alba doesn't know that.
That it really changed, our whole family dynamic, right? And the way we spend our free time, because we really, again, we couldn't come here, because again, dogs were unleashed. Again, my daughter was traumatized with all what happened here. And then just going to any other park, we found that it happens the same.
On a recent Wednesday evening, several dogs run freely at a field in Allied Gardens that's also being used for kids' soccer and baseball games. Marty Marcus lets his dog Ellie off leash, and she barks and runs in circles as he talks.
For the most part, the people that come down here do control their dogs. Mine is barking a lot. She wants to run and play, and yes, has bumped into you a few times. But outside of that, most of the dogs down here are reasonably well behaved.
Marcus says he does worry about getting a citation.
Dog still needs exercise, and there are very few dog parks in the area.
This dog's digging a hole actively.
Back on her patrol, Dockery rolls through a busy park and spots 2 people watching their dogs run off leash.
They're looking at it and not doing anything.
She drives up to the young couple, hops out, and writes them each a citation.
Do you know of any dog parks?
Not really.
Okay, because there's like one literally down the street. It's about 3 minutes from here, Cape Hart Park.
The couple sheepishly accepts their $300 tickets and promises they won't break the rules again. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
That story by Claire was one of our most popular this week at kpbs.org. Here are some others, including Midday Edition's conversation on what to do with California's $20 billion budget surplus. Tanya Thorne looks at a new survey that ranks San Diego as the least affordable metro area in the country. And Gustavo Solis explains why the new Otay Mesa border crossing might be on track to open ahead of schedule. Black Comics Day launched in 2018 just as Marvel's Black Panther hit theaters. The free mini convention returns this weekend after being on a forced 2-year pandemic break. KPBS arts reporter Beth Acalmondo has a preview.
Marvel's Black Panther gave mainstream audiences a black superhero they could celebrate. Keith and Jones used that film as a jumping-off point to launch Black Comics Day back in 2018.
You see all these big comic book movies, but you don't really see the folks who created these characters. You don't see what's going on behind the scenes. And this show kind of uncovers that a little bit.
It also uncovers the breathtaking diversity of characters beyond Black Panther. That Marvel superhero was created by 2 white men, and Black Comics Day highlights the work of Black comics creators.
And the fact that it's a Black-focused event makes it even more special for people who are able to see themselves not only in the work, but in the creative force behind it.
I think that Keithan is my superhero.
Makita Cheatham is the founder and executive director of World Beat Cultural Center.
To see all the Black comics and the people that are interested in this genre, it's important to our people and all people.
With its Afrocentric focus, World Beat Cultural Center provides the perfect backdrop for the event.
This being Black History Month, Black Comics Day is more of a focus on specifically Black creators, where you can meet, greet, interact with them, see the stuff they've been producing over the years.
Creators like Rodney Anderson Jr.
For Black children to see that they don't just have to be consumers of this content. They can be creators as well. And seeing Black creatives in one space, seeing so many under one roof, helps to drive that point home.
And it's about more than just providing young people with characters who look like them, says Lawana Richmond.
It creates all kinds of possibilities in their mind, not just in the realm of comics, but just in life in general.
Richmond will be on 2 panels at the convention. One called Empowered addresses the challenges of being a Black creator.
Unfortunately, when you're a creative, a lot of times your family wants you to get a real job.
But Anderson says a real job can be a dream job.
This is my comic book, Trinity Blade. It is a good old-fashioned fantasy, sword-swinging, swashbuckling, and dragons. I want people to understand it is not easy at all. The long hours required to complete that work, which means, especially if you're working 1, 2, 3 other jobs, can be tough stealing time for this passion project. I wanted a book that's centered around a Black character. If you have a story in your heart and you want to tell it, do it. Don't hesitate. Put pencil to paper. Be a writer, be an artist. Whatever you can do, you can create that story that you imagine you can create.
Jones is proof of that. He freelances as an artist and runs Kid Comics, which publishes his comic book, The Power Knights. Yet he still finds time to organize Black Comics Day because he's passionate about showcasing the smorgasbord of content currently coming from Black creators.
Every artist is different. Every artist has a different point of view, so that reflects in the stories that they create. I mean, everything you would see in your local comic book shop, it's also here. It just so happens to be created by Black creators. That's really the only difference, and it's from their point of view, which is what I think where the uniqueness of it comes. Personally, the best artists always put a bit of themselves in their work, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. You put a piece of yourself in it, that's where the original element comes from, and that's what makes, to me, good art.
That's also what makes Black Comics Day a cultural experience rather than just a comic book convention.
You're coming here to experience something outside of what your own culture. Even if you are Black, it's outside of what you've been previously taught or been previously exposed to. So just on that alone, I think it's worthwhile to come to the show and just have a different experience, to have an educational experience, and also have fun and be entertained.
And discover that superheroes exist not only on the pages of comics and on the big screen, but also behind artist tables at Black Comics Day. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
Like comic books, video games are a major force in pop culture and increasingly in the classroom. KPBS Speak City Heights reporter Jacob Ayer visited Hoover High School to see how esports are being used as a pathway to higher education.
An already thriving esports team got a recent upgrade at Hoover High School, not in a video game, but in real life. The club has a brand new space on campus dedicated to competitive gaming, and it's fully stocked with high-end computers, gaming chairs, headphones, and a lot more.
I'd say the most popular game that's running on right now, at least in this esports, is still Rocket League, Super Smash Bros, and Valorant.
Club captain in Hoover High School senior Henry Huang says The new room is a huge improvement from before.
I remember I first joined the Esports Club here at Hoover during my sophomore year, and we kind of had like a little underground, I would say, dungeon area, and we'd usually play on the school computers. We never kind of had that luxury of trying to build one.
Please do not mistake my smile. I take this all very seriously.
For every sports team, there is a coach. For Hoover High School's Esports Club, it's Jack Wetzel, who also runs the robotics club and teaches math and computer science at the school. He's been in charge of the program since 2016.
I think esports is just any digital sport, and ranging from anything from chess to these competitive first-person shooters. But if I was going to say what it is here at Hoover, it's really a community, and it's about students having a safe place where they have like-minded people to collaborate and be friends with.
Are you joining us? Better drop the music.
Huang says esports provide him an escape from real-world difficulties while spending time with his friends, which has been a challenge since the pandemic.
I didn't really have anything to talk to, so I would always just play games and having social interactions on there.
I get away with these things.
Hoover High is just one example of the blossoming esports scene in San Diego. San Diego State is about to launch a new certificate program called Business of Esports, which is open to people of all ages. Newton Lee will be one of the professors. He sees esports in line with social media platforms, but says they offer competition for all and are more inclusive than traditional sports.
It doesn't matter if you're black or white or a kid or an old man or old woman or high IQ, low IQ, physical disabled or physically strong. They all can compete in the same game. That's amazing. To me, that is truly amazing. You cannot see that in any physical sport.
Wetzel says the new room is just the start. They already have competitions set up with other schools from around the area, and he plans to try to make esports a lettering sport in high school.
High School Esports League is the national organization that's helping gather everybody together, and they're the ones that actually host those games. And then from there, the colleges are looking on those websites to see which teams are scoring highest, which ones are doing well through the competitions. And then on top of that, there's actual scholarships from High School Esports League.
Professor Lee says the future of esports is very bright. In fact, he sees the new SDSU esports program and other similar educational offerings as a gateway into the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields.
It makes them, especially high school students, more curious about, well, maybe, I'm not going to be a professional gamer, but I can design new hardware. Or, oh, I'm really good in art. I can do animation. So that's something that they may not have thought of if there were no esports.
Professor Lee says one of the biggest challenges for the esports industry at the moment is the need to introduce more women. But he says it will be difficult because of a number of players creating a toxic environment for women in online gaming circles. That being said, there are efforts underway, such as creating more collaborative and less violent video games to bridge the gender gap and open a virtual door on esports to all.
Last player standing.
Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Traditional sports have long been an important learning tool for kids. Education reporter MG Perez went to an ice rink in Rolando and found a new generation inspired by what they're seeing at this year's Winter Olympics.
Figure skating practice starts early here at the Kroc Center Ice Rink. For almost 20 years, skaters have come here to play hockey, move as a couple, and learn the ups and downs of figure skating.
Performance-wise, it's always good to see Donovan because he deserves to be there.
Christopher Kaluza is a figure skating coach and teacher. He's also an international competitor and friend of Donovan Carrillo, the Mexican figure skater who made history this week at the Beijing Olympics. Kaluza says Carrillo is an inspiration for young skaters learning the sport with such a rich history.
What you see in skating is not only about jumps and spins. Back then, figure skating was about creating figures on the ice. That's why it's called figure skating. It's about drawing on the ice, and then you have to retrace that.
15-year-old Ella Canis is taking notes from the performance of this week's U.S. men's gold medal winner.
I think it's really inspiring, especially Nathan Chen. It's cool to see his performance and see his skating skills and things, and try and take things and apply it to your own skating.
This is not a traditional classroom, and it is a safe space to learn and make mistakes. We're told the Croc Rink has the best ice in town. It's so popular, skaters come from as far away as Los Angeles. Ice skating at any level costs money. Here at the Croc Center, there is fundraising for $100,000 every year to give more young people opportunities for lessons and dream making.
Children who wouldn't be able to afford figure skating or soccer or any of the programs that we have here will actually be able to offset the costs of the program from those scholarships.
Terry Gilbreth started skating much later in life. She's also a mother who encourages the lessons learned on the ice for any child.
If they have a focus in their life, especially maybe even as a teenager, it's even more important. So, they learn discipline, they learn, to be proud of themselves.
That's a lesson just as valuable as any Olympic medal. MG Perez, KPBS News.
We hope you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Amitha Sharma. Thank you for joining us.